Hello everyone, welcome to my comprehensive Udyr guide on YouTube. In this video, I will delve into everything you need to master this versatile champion. From optimal rune setups and item builds to mastering key combos and mechanics, I got you covered. So, stay tuned as I break down gameplay strategies and provide practical tips for successful implementation on the Rift. So, let's level up your Udyr game together, starting with items and runes. So, when it comes to Udyr, actually, even though there are many ways of playing him as different as much possible, actually, in my own experiences, I found three most successful rune pages, uh, uh, corresponding with the appropriate game plans. So, the most common gameplay is that AP Tank Udyr version. So let's begin with this. I'm pretty sure you know this stream page, but let me go over it pretty quickly. With this build and rune, what we aim to achieve is that we would want to go as much as sustain in our kit as possible, because Udyr has damage on his kit, mainly because of his R, right? Because his R deals some percentage damage. And as soon as we build some base AP and tankiness, we will be surviving most of the team fights or even skirmishes, right? That's why we go we go for the Conqueror path, because with Udyr it is very easy to proc your Conqueror stacks with your ultimate, with your Q and with your W even as well. They all count up as two stacks, so it's very easy to stack them up. On the other hand, we go Triumph secondary because 5% of our missing health is a big deal, especially when we have tanky stats. That's why we go Triumph. And also we go Tenacity because in this build, AP tank build, we will not be using too much we will not be scaling too much with attack speed. Rather, if the enemy team has lots of CC, this Tenacity build makes it so that actually you are immune to CC, right? And finally, you can switch between coup de grace and last stand, but in this build, since you will be face tanking most of the damage for your team, last stand actually fits so much, fits almost perfectly to your kit, right? That's why we go with last stand, and situationally you can go coup de grace. On the other hand, we go result tree because there are two main specific items, I mean runes, that suits our gameplay best. Conditioning is pretty juicy rune because after 12 minutes, as it says, gain 8 armor, 8 magic resist, and increase them by 3% your total MR and armor. So uh, usually, and almost 90% of the time, we go Jackshot to Protean, and this two combination uh, stacks very well with each other, right? And on the other hand, we go Overgrowth or Revitalize. You can switch between the both. The reason you would pick both of these because Overgrowth is so good because it scales with RW so much well, and you can gain extra stats from the extra health, right? This is you can go almost any game and you cannot go wrong with it. But if you can also choose to go Revitalize because it's also so good on you, dear, especially with your W. And your shields actually you recognize that they are juicy shields if you do not choose to go Revitalize. I but I usually go Revitalize when I have an Enchanter support, right? And with together, actually, you kind of become unkillable in team fights. But both options are possible. So this is the main AP tank version, right? But if you want to go uh, some more aggressive build, you can opt to go for lethal tempo version. And this build actually excels at especially against tanks. The reason why this build works is that actually you would obviously go AD paths with this build, and your Q actually over time deals tons of damage with this build. And especially if you have early skirmishes, you can easily kill three or more champions. That that was a bit exaggerated, but three champions in a very short time, and it deals lots of damage. Trust me. But going with this build actually kind of lacks some defensive issues because you would not be able to as tanky as much possible against Conqueror because you would heal a portion of your back, and also since you're going AD, your W will not be as much as much as efficient as before uh, because you wouldn't go AP, right? You would go AD with this build. So again, trying for the same reasons, and this time you would go Alacrity for extra proc on Lethal Tempo, so that it would even give us more value, but you can still go Tenacity according to the team. And we would go Coup de Grace so that we can finish them off as quickly as possible. But again, Last Stand is also a possibility. And on the other hand, we in this build we would like to go Inspire 3, Inspiration 3. So the idea is that we would get some gold with this build so that even though our base stats are pretty strong, we would still get some gold from this build or utility from this build to have some advantage over our opponents. Not because of our kit, but because of our rune guides, right? That's why this build is completely fine as well. I forgot to mention beforehand, but almost every game you can go attack speed, adaptive force, and scaling out. And I will talk about later that Udyr is a perfect scaler for the game, if not the most. But as the game goes on to some point, not over late, but mid to late game, actually you will shine in most of your games, specifically in solo queue, right? And finally, you can go also opt to choose to go press the attack green page. And the idea is that if your enemies is if your enemies are too squishy to be handled, and you don't need extra health stat or conqueror or adaptive force on conqueror or extra sustained fights with lethal tempo, you can go with this build. I will also talk about the items because these are some specific scenarios. The idea is that you would play the skirmish type with this build. Uh, because Udyr has some uh, animation resets with his Q, the press the attack actually he can easily proc this, and you wouldn't believe how much useful this rune becomes because it increases the damage they take from all sources, right? It's also helpful rune for your teammates as well, and basically the same stuff from here, and again the same ideas here. So let's go to the item pages very quickly. So at this point, what we will be building is that standard AP tank. This is pretty known build. We would go Leandris. That would give us another source of percentage damage in our kit, and that goes so much well. And you wouldn't believe how much value you would get from this using double RR buttons, right? Using Awaken ultimate on your R actually melts down uh, almost 50% of their health, and that's pretty much you can play the game like this, or you can even go further tankier options after Leanderis, such as Frozen Heart, Jackshu, and Tormail and ending with Force of Nature. This build is great, but uh, bear in mind that if enemy has so much champions with scaling attack speed, you go Frozen Heart. But if not, you might also choose to go Tournament secondary because when you're going AP tank Udyr, you would wanna get some effective HP, right? This is incredible. This item has incredible stats, by the way, but you would wanna get some how do I put it? Get some health as well, because your W actually scales so much better with health than armor, right? That's why you would kind of tailor your needs according to your opponents, and also bear in the mind that passive skills, right? But Thornmail is generally good because the enemies, if the enemies hit you, actually you would deal actually insane damage with them. So this kind of becomes dependent to enemy comp, right? But if you go this build every game, you wouldn't go wrong with it, right? On the other hand, you would go AD Udyr, right? And with AD Udyr, you can go Trinity Force because uh, Udyr actually, with Udyr, you would always be using your skills because the cooldowns is so short and you can chain basically infinite combos with your kit because Udyr doesn't have ultimate but rather four skills that almost chains one another, right? That's why Trinity Force is a great pick. And I usually would like to go Sterex Gauge secondary because it actually makes up in solo queue. It makes up for this team fighter perspective of yours when you're going AD because your doubles will not be as strong as you go AP. That's why you would want to compensate with that by building Sterex Gauge. In that way, you would be pretty immune to damage in team fights. Optionally, you can go Titanic Hydra if you're very far ahead. It deals insane damage combined with Trinity Force. And the rest of the build actually is pretty straightforward, as I said. Spirit Visage, Frozen Heart, or even Force of Nature is possibly optimal runes. And I have a third playing style with Udyr. Actually, these are the main two cores, but you can also you can also play to split push, right? And this build is kind of experimental, but this build Xlip is so much strong right now, and especially on Udyr, actually you can 4Q one enemy and they die in front of you. And this damage is insane, but one big problem is that you would become very squishy with that build. And secondary, the idea is that you would go Ravenous Hydra combined with Hullbreaker, and these three items actually are the items that almost give you the most AD in the game. As you can see, 65 attack damage, 70 attack damage, and 70 attack damage against. When all this combined, you get 205 AD, and that actually scales with your Q because your Q scales with extra AD per 100 AD. uh, I think it's supposed to be scaling with 2% or 4%. I don't remember correctly, but I will check in the gameplay version again. And this build deals insane damage, but as well as melts towers. So you might want to go with this build when the only option to win the game is this true split push, right? But as I said, this build until Hullbreaker, even after you get Hullbreaker, you become very squishy. So instead, you can go this build, which rushing Titanic first. You kind of lack CDR in this build, but you will be compensating for the base stats, health, and attack damage you have with this build, and instantly combined with Hullbreaker, which gives you the earlier spike of melting towers, right? And finally, you would go Deadman's Plate, and this would enable you to move towards the map as quick as possible. And I will be going into details from the gameplay part, right? And there are some secondary builds as well, some ingenious hunter builds. These two items go very well on each other, and I have made some video on this part. If you wanna check it out, you're welcome. And there are some optional builds as well like Spirit Visage, as I said, if you're an enchanter, you can go this, and Abyssal Mask if your team has a too much AP and you would kind of boost your teammates with this, and obviously Randu's Omen if they have lots of crit users, and Thornmail if you wanna go with anti-heal options, right? So these are basically the main builds with you would want to go with Udyr. So let's go on with the combos and mechanics with Udyr, right? Right. In this part of the video, I will be mainly focusing on combos and mechanics of Udyr, and I will briefly go towards the skills. But as I said, Udyr actually do not have that much of a combos, right? Like insane combos like Lee Sin, but actually you kind of need to know when you use your skills, right? And that is mainly because Udyr is very auto attack reliant champion, so you should kind of know when to squeeze in some another skill, right? So let's begin with passive. Udyr's passive actually gives him some attack speed basically, and gives him some enables him to recast his ability with a strong amplifier on his second use, right? If you have the bridge between or awakened spirit active, right? So his Q actually enables you some attack speed, as you can see, for some duration. It must be 4 seconds, right? And your next 2 attacks actually deal percentage damage according to the enemy, right? And if you don't know this, but let me show you anyways. In this 4 seconds actually, if you use your auto attacks, actually you would get increased damage towards increase on hit damage. For example, first 2, after, for example, you can see that it dealt 98 damage, but then it dropped off to 79. Now it's 79. Actually, it gives you over this 4 time duration, it gives you on hit damage as well, as it says. But that's why you can combine this with lethal tempo and deal insane damage in this 4 seconds, as I mentioned in the runes part. So his W actually is very basic. It gives him shield, and his next 2 attacks are empowered. It would give you some extra health. So I get 2 health from this, and that's it. And that's very pretty cool. You would realize that every next 2 attack after Udyr uses his skill actually does something. So his E actually makes him gain some increased speed for initial, and then that speed actually decreases down over time. As it says, 51 movement speed, but actually it decays over 4 seconds to 30% efficiency. So if you have E and you auto attack someone, as you can see, it stuns them for 0.75 seconds. And the thing is that you can stun multiple people. Let's see here. So you can E and go through all the team and stun 2 or 3 people and then continue combat. This is usually what you can do with Udyr. And his R actually, as you can see, deals some area damage. And when you your next 2 auto attacks actually deal extra damage, give some extra damage your auto attack, and do some area damage, as you can see, at the middle of the center. So what you can do is sometimes is that, for example, you can double R here, and you auto attack this. The damage happens here instead of here. It's kind of nuance, but you can utilize this infos anywhere in your game. Surely there will be times, right? So let me talk about the empowered part of our passive. So I'm going to despawn the minions so that it's easier. So your Q actually deals damage. Empowered Q deals the damage based on your enemy's HP. So it's percentage damage, and it actually gives you more attack speed, as you can see, 150%. And actually its Q actually deals more health damage. And it scales with AD. That's basically it. So the main combo you would want to be, the perfect AD combo is that you use your Q, hit it 2 times, and then power Q hit it 2 times. That's the basic combo of AD Udyr, and it deals so much damage. Let me bring the dummies here. For example, this dummy has has armor, as you can see here, 100 armor NMR, and with 2000 health. So I have Conquer stacked. 1, 2, 1, 2. As you can see, in this short time, it deals really too much damage. despite I do not have any items. But I'm 18 level, you can compensate for that. So his W actually gives his very big shield, like insane shield, and also your next few attacks heal you. And also you would restore some health over 4 seconds. So it's really sustain ability, and it's very good on team fights. You would use your double like this, and then you would soak most of the enemy damage. I didn't mention, but after you use your monk training auto attacks, as you can see, your passive CD actually decreases. For example, it decreases, actually it refunds 5% of your awakened passive. So the main idea is that you always want to be auto attacking 2 times after each skill, as you can see here. These are the final combos actually. And when it comes to awakened E, actually you would gain more movement speed, and you would become unstoppable and CC immune, and that's perfect for engage options. One thing is that bear in mind that my attack range is like this when I'm not using E, but I use double E, my attack range increases actually during this duration. As you can see, it will go away like this. So it kind of incentivizes more options for you to stun the enemies. And finally, for the AP tank build, double R actually, when you double R someone, this ultimate follows them, follows the closest visible enemies, and deals again more max health magic damage. As you can see, 16% of their max health, the enemy's max health basically, right? And those actually damage, deal massive damage to enemies. So let's see the build here. Okay, I've taken the 3 core items of AP tank build. As you can see, the basic combo is like this, as I said. But this combo is optimized towards doing some mass damage. But if you need to instantly cast your ultimate, what you can do is that in a very short period of time you deal more damage, like this. Deal damage, and then during these 3 auto attacks I dealt more damage than I could in the 4 auto attacks combo. So the question you want to ask yourself playing Udyr, do you want to burst enemy, or can you extend this damage to over time? For example, if enemies like here like this, and they are going to tower very soon, I can do is that perfectly quickly use all of my skills so that it deal damage, right? But if they were here, I could perfectly use my prolonged abilities here, right? Whole combo, no big deal, because they cannot escape anywhere. The main idea is like this. So when it comes to AD builds, actually, the Titanic actually makes a big of a difference, because it goes well with Udyr. Let me take Trinity as well. Trinity is here. Let's go Sterix as well. So that's 4 items. I mean 3 items. So the main idea is that, especially if you go PTA build, you would again fully optimize your combo like 1, 2. Again, you would do like this: 1, 2, empowered Q, 1, Titanic. I did it so slow to show you, so that it will deal extra damage from the PTA, your empowered Q, combined with Titanic, and it will deal devastating damage. So I will show the combo again. So Q, empowered Q, Titanic, and that deals very much damage, right? 2k damage, and that's insane. That's the main reason you would want to go PTA with this build, because it deals... if you want to be more bursty, you would go with this build. Let me decrease the sound a bit. And these are basically the main combos with Udyr. It's not too much complicated, but one thing you can do is that I can show that finally as well. You want to gank someone. Example, these are basically ganking fundamentals, but you will get the idea. if you come here and press E like this, you would actually follow the target, but sometimes you might not be able to catch them. In a way, you should kind of optimize your pathing towards, right? So what I would like to do is that before using E, I would go W while ganking so that it would kind of give me some stat if I can get damage before I reach the enemy, right? So I start with W and then I use R so that I can slow anyone that's coming to me and then use E. In that way, you would both have some HP with your W, and you can slow the enemies that are close to you, and then finally you can stun them. Especially in AD version, uh, you can then burst the enemies with your Q. So it kind of looks like this. I'm going towards enemy. I'm using R. So let's do it like this. Let's imagine this is like a one enemy, and then the first time they see me, they react towards this path, right? But I will not be continue. I will be directly going here, but I will be cutting them off, right? So I start with this. I use W, and then use R, and then E, finish them off, and then max Q damage. The main combos actually are very limited with Udyr, but there are still few nuances, but I don't think they are too much important. So basically you would wanna do like this. So let me go towards the explanation towards the game plan. So I've talked about mechanics, combos, and items and runes, and at this point, I will be talking about how to implement or how to set your gameplay according to the giving your comp, right? So the thing is that as I said, there are three main builds that you can go with, or game styles you can go with Udyr. One of them is that you will go AP tank version, right? The other one is that you can go kind of skirmisher with some AD build, with Trinity or Titanic Hydra. And as a third option, you would go split pusher with lethal tempo. But bear in mind that all of these combinations of runes and items can be even diversified. I'm just letting these examples talk for educational purpose, right? So at this point, uh, let's assume that you have a team like this, and let's assume that we don't know the enemy team, right? So when do you go AP tank version of Udyr? For this meta right now, you would go actually AP tank Udyr almost any game and you wouldn't go wrong with it because it's very durable and durability actually pays off very much uh, in the solo queue. So, for example, if I had a team like this where there's Renekton, Azir, and Udyr in the jungle, that's us, and Lulu and Jinx. For a team like this, that would be a perfect example to go AP Udyr because you have already two sources of AD damage, that is Renekton and Jinx. But you also have some enchanters, that is Lulu, and you can go revitalize from the rune page as Udyr, and you can go Spirit Visage secondary if the enemy has some AP damage, and they would boost you, and you would face tank the damage. And on the other hand, there is Ezreal mid lane, and AP tank Udyr version goes so well with hyper carries is that you would basically what you want to be doing with a PUD here is that you can face tank and sustain, focus on the prolonged fight as much as possible. And because you can do that, your opponents who can make use of this gap actually shines perfectly. Especially, I have found some very much success with Azir and Jinx as well, or some hyper carries like Kog'Maw, like Cassiopeia in the mid lane, and so forth. And in a team like this, it's perfectly balanced a AP/AD damage ratio. It's also perfectly balanced tank or skirmisher ratio. Also, we have Udyr and Renekton, and we have damage dealers, and we don't need to go extremely aggressive. We can tank for our team. So in a team like this, you can go AP tank version of the Udyr. But on the other hand, let's imagine that if your mid lane was Talia, and if your top laner was, it can still be Renekton, but let's say Camel, and you had Pike in the bot lane, right? AD carries doesn't matter at this point. And in this type of oops, we have made a mistake. Let's change Talia here. Talia goes with Renekton, right? hmm Let's imagine you have a team like this, and actually in team fights you are still decent, but you are mostly solo queue team, right? In that type of examples, there are setups from the lanes. Again, this Renekton should be Camille. Yep. You have perfect setups for red lanes. For example, Camille can set up for your kills, for your ultimate. Also, Talia can set up for with his W or E, with her W or E, and you can combine very well with each other. And finally, there's Pyke and support. In games like this, you can perfectly go with PTA Strand, and where you can go Eternity and Titanic Hydra secondary, and you would kind of play for the picks around the map. You wouldn't let any enemy teams play the game, and because this is mainly because you have perfect synergies, not perfect, but very good synergies, and you can deal damage, and they can control the fight for you. So you can be a threat to carry the game. So in games like this or comps like this, you can perfectly go with this build, and it actually works perfectly fine. And finally, as I mentioned, that you can go split bishop comp. So let's see, our mid laner is Ahri here, or let's choose a bit of more cheesy pick. It can be Karma, or it can be Katarina as well. Let's pick it Katarina because you can see this most of your solo queue games, and your top laner is a split pusher. Also, this is your bot lane. So the problem with this, let's imagine that you are in a way behind in this game. This is not perfect comp, but you will get the idea why you can opt to go split pusher build in this game. So the reason why you might want to go like, let's say in the game something went wrong and your team isn't really winning 1v1s or 2v2s or even 3v3s, right? So team fighting or skirmishing is not an option, but you are the fed member of the team and assume that you got the two items. So what you can ask for your team, it's kind of hard for solo queue at this point right now, but you can definitely pull this off. And this is mainly because our team is behind. uh, we send our team to mid lane like this. Uh, after some laning, after the laning phase, actually, bot lane already naturally goes to the mid lane, and then they would swap like this. Usually, your team like this look like this. But one big problem is that Katarina is not a champion like to be 1v1, right? It would better for Katarina to join her teammates up, or even me, so that she can get her some uh, finish the kills off on her own and get some resets in the team fight. So if this is not the case, we can send our team like this, and we can go split push on our own with the split pusher build. The thing is that when you can apply this type of game plan is that you should be having some type of lane wave clear with your team. In this game, Jinx can definitely clear some waves with the range of her, and Katarina also can not so much, not so much, but help the team out. And the thing is that your these three members actually perma show up mid, right? Perma clear the waves, and Camille in one side or me in one side pressure from the sides. The main thing is that we would want to be as much as gaining attention from the enemy team. Let's say they have like perfect team comp or Victor like this, right? Victor, and actually AD carries doesn't matter, or three picks. Actually it does, but let's leave it hanged. Oh, let's add it. Let's ASOL, just to be clear. ASOL. Let's add Lulu and some ADG. Let's add Sewer, right? The thing is that they can also wave clear, and the the thing is that they don't have a jungler, right? Let's add some jungler like Diana instead of ASOL. All right. So when this is the case, actually, Camel can win his 1v1s, and I can also kill a 1v1 with Victor. So if it would be better if Victor also joined the enemy team so that they can control. Victor is a control mage and he can control the stream of the fight for his team. But if they decide to side push, actually it's very easy 1v1 for me, and even after some point we can even 1v2. But you don't even have to 1v2. The thing you would do is that since Udyr is so fast through the map, you would, as soon as you get attention of T people, you directly switch to mid lane and get some numerical advantage there. Uh, and if Camel wins 1v1, that's perfect. He can push through the mid, and then if they try to respond, we can take the mid tier 1 or 2 or 3. Doesn't matter. And then they would collapse on. Then we do the same thing. Again, there's the numerical advantage. Always like this. So, if our Camel is not able to get 1v1s, that's perfectly fine also. We would constantly hold Malphite there because Malphite likes to be on team fights, right? He likes to 3-man ult this team, right? But as soon as he's inside, he doesn't help his teammate, right? That's why, in a way, there are so much details to this, but I will be uploading 3 different video games to kind of showcase how can you play the games with this. And actually, that's it for the video. Thank you very much for standing by up to this point. And if you have any questions or anything you would like to share with me, please leave it on the comments, and I will be trying to respond to them. So if you learned something, a few from this video, that's been very helpful for me. And thank you for standing by. See you on the next video.